Hello friends! Today is day 19 of BookMas, and I am going to talk about some of the books that got away, some of the books that I just did not get around to reading in 2021. I'm going to try to make a goal that motivates me a little bit more in 2022 to make this a little bit more of a priority. I do like my goals, so I have to try to figure that out, but here are some of the books that got away. So let's get into it. Talk about is really one that now that I have read the summary, I thought it was something a little bit different. I'm really excited for, and it's called Your Life Has Been Delayed. It came out in September. Here is the cover. TV show Manifest, but I'm intrigued by it, and this reminds me of what I think Manifest is. So you follow this girl, and she kind of gets on a plane expecting to go meet her old boyfriend and kind of, figure out her life. She's a senior, but this plane she's on goes to the future, and her life is sort of thrown off. Her grandparents are really old, her brother's older than she is. She's sort of trapped in the same exact spot, and she has to sort of figure out what her life is now, and probably uncover, I would assume, what happened, what led her to this. And I think she's gonna basically try to follow this sinister truth of what happened to her on this plane and how that is impacting her life. That sounds super interesting. I'm intrigued. So I definitely would like to read that really, really soon. So probably will have a romance element to it, I assume. But I'm intrigued. It also makes me really want to watch the TV show Manifest. So I should probably do both, but book definitely sounds interesting. I'm intrigued by, have not got around to finishing it, but that is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. Here is a beautiful photo. Thorns. I haven't read Enchantment of Ravens yet, but this book is about a nun who, she belongs to a convent. She is really interconnected to ghosts and spirits, but when ghosts start to attack her convent, and she is sort of put in a prime position to get rid of these ghosts, she has to sort of go on an adventure to save the day. I really did like it when I was reading it. The writing style was not my absolute favorite, but I am intrigued to keep reading it. If I don't pick it up in the end of this year, I'll probably pick it up early next year, but that's why it's on this list. Out is one called from probably two of my favorite authors. I really like Amanda Foody. I really like Christina Lynn Herman, and that is All of Us Villains, which I have a physical copy of as well, so I don't know what I was doing with my life, but again, a November release that I just did not get around to. Me as the Hunger Games, but with a social media aspect. But you basically follow these characters as they're sort of put in this competition for the blood veil, to compete to be a champion of the tournament of the death. But when secrets are revealed, the social media aspect of this camp is sort of passed up, and it just sounds interesting. I think I'm doing a really, really bad job of explaining this, but definitely on my list, one I would love to read. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Hunger Games, I'll be very honest, but I am intrigued to see what someone else does with that concept, because I'm I'm very, very intrigued by it. So definitely on my list for early 2022. About is another contemporary that I seem to have missed. Sorry, friends. But this book is called Ratas and Jaws: Recipe for Romance, and I am really excited for this once that I've read the summary. That's happening a lot in this reading and this video, so don't mind me. These two kids you follow, I assume you follow both perspectives. One kid, her name is Rada, and she is she's a dancer. But when a family tragedy costs her a big competition, she winds up moving to New Jersey to be with her stage mom, and then she winds up crossing paths with this young boy who is a Bollywood dancer, but he has a lot of other family issues, but they sort of work together to try to help each other out. And it sounds like drama will occur, maybe some romance. I'm intrigued. Hopefully I get around to reading it soon. Had for so long, but it's technically not out yet. It comes out December 21st, and it's called Not How Not to Fall in Love But ever since I read this summary, I've been dying to read it and I just not got around to it. So here is the cover. Of set in like unique settings. So you follow this girl. She is so over romance. She doesn't believe romance exists and she's sort of over it. She works in her mom's bridal shop, but her best friend Theo is a hopeless romantic. He just believes romance is possible and he's very, very hopeful. But when he's hosting another heartbreak, he and Harper team up and Harper's going to teach him how not to fall in love. Now, this is her best friend and romance just may be on the horizon for them. I'm intrigued. I love friends to lovers romances. Like, that's one of my favorite tropes. I don't get enough of them. So, I'm intrigued for this one and hope I have time to check it out in late 2021 or early 2022. So, that's why it's on this list. There's one that's been everywhere. Like, everywhere. Everyone's been talking about this. And it's Iron Widow, which I've heard a lot of good things about. Here is a photo. Science fiction book, but it also has like a Chinese mythology twist. And I know that it focuses on polyamorous relationships, which again is really unique in a YA novel. Like, I think that that's just so ingenious. But it's also Pacific Rim meets Handmaid's Tale. And there's pilots, there's transforming robots that lurk beyond the Great Wall. Is offered herself as a concubine pilot to assassinate the ace male pilot responsible for her sister's death, hoping she gets vengeance. It kind of ends in a way no one predicts. I don't want to read any more, but I love that. So I'm intrigued. Hopefully I get to read it soon. That was probably a really bad explanation, but I didn't want to read too much into the summary. But that sounds great. It's a nice mix between fantastical, science fiction, and LGBTQ+. I'm here for it and hope I really enjoy it. I just didn't get around to was These Hollow Vows by Alexi Ryan. Another one I had such high hopes for to read, just didn't get around to it, but here's a photo of this gorgeous cover. Struggled since the Holly Black Fairy series to find a book about fairies that I like really enjoyed. So when I saw this like summary, I was intrigued. Book 2 is probably going to come out in 2022, so have a little bit of motivation to read it. But the summary that like piqued my interest was Cruel Prince made a court of thorn and roses in this sexy action-packed fantasy about a girl who was caught between two treacherous fairy courts and their dangerously seductive princes. I am intrigued. So sad I didn't get around to this one, but hopefully I get around to it soon. Regency romance, and I have read a few Sophie Jordans that are like adult theme, but this 16 Scandals definitely caught my eye, and that is why it is on this list. I just did not get around to it. Summary is this Regency romp. Newly minted 16-year-old Primrose Anderson finds herself on a wayward birthday adventure through London with a mysterious hero. Perfect for fans of Lady Jane. So it sounds like there might be an adventure element to it, and a boy and a girl. I really like anything set in Regency time, so I'm excited for this one and hope I get around to reading it soon. Read my fancy, which I'm probably going to read in the fall, is The Coldest Touch by Isabella Sterling. Here's a photo. That I'm really excited to hopefully read. I didn't get around to it this fall season. Hopefully next one I can pick it up, and it's called The Coldest Touch by Isabella Sterling. And it says a cursed girl and a vampire are sort of forced to work together. She also wrote the Witch series, which I didn't want to get around to reading, but I know it's also LGBTQ+, so I'm really excited for this one and intrigued to see what it's all about. Hopefully it will be a fall read. In this video is one that I just did not get around to, and it is the Spring Book in the Dark Water series, the Small Spaces series by Catherine Arden. I am really excited for this one. Maybe I will save it to read in spring. We will see, but I have really liked all those books, and I'm such a chicken at heart, but these are like light, eerie, and creepy, which is definitely my favorite. So I will talk to you guys for tomorrow in this BookMas experience, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Tell me in the comments what is one older book that you did not read in 2021 that you're kicking yourself for. I would love to know. Bye, friends.